Hello and welcome back. We are continuing our unit on proportions and similarity. Today we're talking about similar polygons. Similar polygons have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. They have congruent angles, and the corresponding side lengths are proportional. So congruent angles, proportional sides. Let's look at this one. You can see that they've already marked the congruent angles. And they're telling us that polygon ABCD is congruent to EFGH. And it's important to pay attention to the order of the letters because angle A corresponds with angle E. B corresponds with F, C to G, and D to H. So the order of the letters really matters. So let's list the corresponding angles. We have angle A is congruent to angle E. Angle B is congruent to angle F. Angle C is congruent to angle G. Angle D is congruent to angle H. Now I've already listed the corresponding sides for you, but what this says is that AB corresponds to EF, BC corresponds to FG, CD corresponds to GH, and DA corresponds to HE. We have these in the form of fraction ratios, so let's put numbers to those fractions. AB is 15, EF is 10, BC is 6, FG is 4, CD is 9, GH is 6, DA is 12, and HE is 8. And if you reduce each of those fractions, they all reduce to 3/2. So that's the proportion of each of the sides, and we call that the scale factor. So 3/2 is the scale factor. Now we're going to determine whether the pair of figures is similar, and if they are, we will write a similarity statement and the scale factor. So first, we're going to compare the corresponding angles. So we've got W is congruent to P. We've got X is congruent to Q. R is congruent to Y. And S and Z are congruent. So we do have all congruent angles. We can check that off our list. Now we have to compare the corresponding sides. So we're going to take each of these sides, the corresponding sides, so WZ goes to PS. So we've got 9/6, and then 12/8, 18/12, and 15/10. Now, if you reduce all of these, they all reduce to 3/2. Or if we had done it the other way, if we had done the small one to the big one, you could also say that they reduce to 2/3 if all of these numbers are reversed, which is okay. So the similarity statement then, remember, this is where letters are important, the order of the letters. So we have W, X, Y, Z is similar to P, Q, R, S with a scale factor of 3/2 or 2/3. Now the scale factor of similarity is not always 3/2. It just happens that the first two examples we've done had a 3/2 scale factor. So this one says, determine whether the pair of figures is similar, and if so, write a similarity statement. Well, we'll start looking at the angles. We've got A, looks like is congruent to H, and B, and J, and C, and uh-oh, those corresponding angles are not congruent. So these polygons are not similar. Let's look at this one. Now the ones we're looking at here are these two triangles. We've got a little triangle here, and we've got the big triangle here. So I'm going to erase those just so we can look at this. Let's look at the angles first. They share this one, so that's congruent to itself. Then we've got these two congruent angles, these two congruent angles. So we know that all the angles are congruent, so we're good to go there. Now it says write the scale factor. We've got two corresponding sides here that have given us numbers, so we can use those numbers to find our scale factor, 11 over 22, or 1 over 2. So there's our scale factor. We need to write a similarity statement. So we have triangle, let's see, QPR is similar to triangle SPT. This one says, use the scale factors and proportions to find the missing side lengths in similar polygons. So the first thing we're going to do is get our bearings by matching up the congruent angles. That helps us determine which are the corresponding sides. And we can say, based on that, that triangle RST is similar to triangle MNP. Now we're going to write some proportions to find X and Y. So we know that 32 corresponds to 16. That will become our scale factor, 32 to 16. And we know that X corresponds to 13. X corresponds to 13. So we can cross multiply those. We get 32 times 13 equals 16X. Multiply those together, divide by 16, and we get X equals 26. We can do the same thing to find Y. So we know that 32 corresponds to 16, and we know that 38 corresponds to Y. So we'll cross multiply again, and we get 32Y equals 16 times 38. And when we solve for Y, we get Y equals 19. Let's try the same thing with these quadrilaterals. First thing is we're going to make sure we know what corresponds to what. So D and P, those are congruent. Got C and N, M and B, and L and A. So that helps us know which sides are corresponding. So now we can write our congruency statement. We've got A, B, C, D is similar to, now we went blue, orange, green, yellow. So we have to do the same thing, blue, orange, green, yellow. L, M, N, P. And now we can write proportions to find X and Y. So let's see, we can use CB, and that corresponds to MN. So 10 over X plus 6 equals 14. That one corresponds to X plus 9. And now we can cross multiply to solve for X. So we get 14 times X plus 6 equals 10 times X plus 9. 14X plus 84 equals 10X plus 90. So we get 6 equals 4X. Okay, so we know that X equals 6 over 4 or 3 over 2. This next one says if A, B, C, D, E is similar to P, Q, R, S, T, we're going to find the scale factor of those two and the perimeter of each polygon. Well, first let's match up the angles with each other. We know that A goes to P. So A goes to P. We know that B goes to Q. B goes to Q. C goes to R. And D goes to S. E goes to T. Okay, so that helps us find the corresponding sides. So to find the scale factor, we can match up two sides like 15 and 21. So 15 over 21, and that reduces to 5 over 7. Now a lot of these sides we know are congruent to each other. So we know that 10 goes here because of these congruent markings, and 10 goes here. So with that, we can find the perimeter of the first polygon. 15 plus 10 plus 20 plus 10 plus 10 equals 65. That's the perimeter of the first polygon. Now we can use our scale factor, 5 over 7, to find the perimeter of the second polygon, equals 65 over x, whatever the perimeter is of the second polygon. And we can cross multiply. So 7 times 65 is 455. That equals 5x. Divide both sides by 5. And the perimeter of the bigger polygon is 91. Whew, there's a lot going on in that lesson. But as long as you match the angles first, find the corresponding sides, and set up your proportions, you'll be good to go. Thanks for being here.